How's it going? Welcome to Tunnel Vision, episode 2. My name's Kiera. I am joined with other hosts Adam Boyd and Cram Sultan. And our guest today is Kiarrah Ireland. So she's a hockey player turned singer, kind of turning into a big deal, especially here in YEG. So we decided to have her out for a conversation. So let's talk about your hockey first, because I feel like most people would probably be shocked that you were a hockey player. Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying that?
Some people, yeah. Some people are like, what? I've never seen a hockey player like you or whatever. But there's all kinds of girls. People don't realize that people think that the stereotype, they're just big macho girls, but we had girls that went on to be models, like all kinds of girls. So, I started when I was 5 and I played for 18 years.
Jeez. Crazy.
And a little bit of history, we played spring hockey together, NAA. Yep. I thought she would appreciate the jersey up there today.
That was a great team.
Yeah, and a beautiful jersey. It looks really nice up there.
It honestly makes it a completely different feel compared to just our basketball jerseys. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we don't see hockey jerseys as often, that when you brought that out and you were asking me which one should I put up, like definitely the hockey one.
Yeah, it's a cool one. So cool. I just need to get my name bar on the back so we can flip it over. And
you know what, Kiera?
Just let them know. It's me. That's mine.
We'll turn this whole wall into yours.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly how I wanted it to turn out. I guess like with your hockey career, tell us how it went, how that transitioned into like being an artist. Like just give us a little bit of your story.
So I started playing with the boys. I played boys hockey for 8 years. Up until second year Pee Wee, and then switched on to playing with the girls. I was big and I did not know how to adjust to that, so I lived in the penalty box because I would flat out just annihilate everything that came my way, because you know how big I was?
Yeah. Well, and I was tiny, so you were really
10,
big.
So I was like 6'2" or something on ice.
Yeah.
Then after that, I got a scholarship for University of Calgary, which I played 1 year there. That was an amazing year. Danielle Goyette was the coach, so that was awesome. She's Team Canada coach, and she also played, right?
Yeah.
And she was also...
She's an Olympian, right?
Yeah, she's amazing. She was also, like, defenseman, and that's what I was, so we definitely, like, hit it off there, but I did end up leaving after 1 year. It was kind of like a bit of missing home, and I just wanted to switch things up, try something new.
Was that your first year there?
Yeah, that was my first year.
Yeah. Did you come right out of high school? You were 18 living there?
Straight out of high school. Yeah, went there after that. And then I played for Nate. It was all right. It was okay. The girls were cool. But after that, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite year. Yeah. So I went on and played for Grant MacEwan, the biggest rival, and it was the best thing.
I didn't know that was a big rival to MacEwan.
Well, for sure.
For sure. I guess. I never really thought of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the two Edmonton teams, right?
Because I guess they were both ACAC at that time, so that makes a lot of sense.
It's not as serious anymore as it was, but we had something called like the Challenge Cup every year in basketball, where when we played them, that we had like a little trophy that like one single game a year, it meant that you got to take this like nothing trophy. And we had like sponsors and all this kind of stuff too. It was like, they really tried to make it something. Yeah. And like Nate was really good when I played, right? And Nate MacEwan's hockey program is very good too. So definitely had some substance there for it. So it had a little bit more longevity than just, a couple of years.
So when you switched, did you have like, when you made the decision to go to Mac, how did that go over with like your Nate teammates, and why did you decide to go to Mac?
Okay. Well, I didn't really see eye to eye with the coach.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of just a personal decision I made. I was kind of fed up. And so I met, what's her name? Lindsay McAlpine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's just like an incredible human. So we hit it off, and she's like, no, like we'd love to have you. And she treated me so well, and I got all the playing time I wanted. Like, no, she was just amazing. And like, and that was tough, because after that year is when I did give up hockey. I stopped.
So what was it that kind of drove you to that route? Like, was there...
Did you leave?
Yeah, maybe... Was there ever, even like your first year, like when you came back home, was there ever doubts of how long you wanted to play for at that point even?
No, honestly, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, I was still like, ooh, like Team Canada was still like an option, and like, playing for like, the the camps that were happening and stuff for that. I never really saw like the end point. I was just like was going, you know. But the reason why, I didn't see it coming, right? I still had 2 years of eligibility left. But I quit because I wanted to buy myself things, and I ended up crashing my dad's truck. So like I couldn't expect him to pay for it, and there was just like debt that I had, and I was just like, I want my own phone, I want my own car, I want my own laptop, like just independency kind of. So
So even was there ever points and times where like you obviously transitioned into singing? Was this something that you started at a younger age, or was it something that you started thinking more of after you quit?
It's crazy how it happened. So throughout my hockey years, I always was kind of singing on the side. I don't know if I did it much at Nate.
I don't remember you being a singer when we played, because as soon as I watched the first video of you singing, I was like, whoa, like where did that come from? Like I had no idea, so I thought it was really cool.
Crazy. So I think it was during like my college years more so, or university years, that when I was at U of C, I brought my guitar and a laptop and my clothes, you know? So whenever I wasn't studying or working out or whatever, I was picking up my guitar and just kind of teaching myself and just something to do, you know? It was actually fun. We had like on my floor, there was a couple other musicians. So we'd all get together and like sing like World's Greatest by R. Kelly, and just like, okay, guys, like 8:00 tonight in the common room. And like we had like little like concerts. It was awesome. So I just like it was like kind of like an outlet just to kind of escape, and like it was just so fun to me. And I was really shy. Like it wasn't something that I was just like, you know, going in people's faces and like singing all the time. It just kind of slowly progressed. So even with hockey too, like for Grant McEwen for sure, they were like, bring your guitar like to Calgary, and like, or here sing, we won, like sing a victory song, and I'd be like, never mind, I'll find, like I was just thinking like Adele and stuff. They're like, do Adele. I'm like, really? That's what you guys want to hear right now? Like we just won about like championship games by Lil Wayne or something. So funny. But like I was like, you guys want to hear
like all the normal ones that people sing on buses and stuff.
Right? Like no. Like what's her name? Lindsay was like, come on, just Someone Like You by Adele. Okay, anything for you. But yeah, it was crazy because like I didn't really realize that people like actually wanted to hear me sing. I'm like, no, like you know. And then eventually like, okay, no, they actually like it. So okay, but it was just something that kind of like built up. And so when I was back at U of C, I started posting on YouTube. I just randomly uploaded a cover of me singing just for my family to hear, just to like put on Facebook or whatever. It's like, because my family's very musical. So my older sister is a music therapist. So she heals people with music, people with eating disorders, people that don't know who their son is anymore because they have like, you know, Alzheimer's or whatever. They don't know who their wife is, but they remember a song from when they were 8 years old that their mom used to sing to them. Like music is just crazy. Like it's crazy insane how it just links back and like, it can heal people and keep their brain ticking, you know? So that's what my sister does. My father plays music every day. Like he'll grab his guitar. He thinks he's a DJ. He'll grab his DJ thing. It's so funny. So like music is just in my family. My uncle was in a Christian band, so it's just always kind of there. Back when I was younger, me and my sister and my father, we'd sing over on the phone like to his parents, like my grandparents, and just like it was just always kind of there, you know. And then so like uploading to YouTube. Sharing it, and it actually got like a little bit of a response, and then that's how I met my manager, and she was like, hey, she like messaged me and was really persistent, like, I'd like to meet you and like you know, like develop you as an artist. I think you have a lot of potential. And I was just like, never thought of this before, like what do you mean? She's like, how would you like to do music? And I was like, I never thought of doing music. It was just hockey. That's all I thought of.
You never thought of it even, like, was there like a moment where you're like, oh, I'd love to, but I don't know if it's possible as a younger kid?
Yeah, like it was with, I guess in junior high and high school, we'd do like talent shows. So me and my best friend at the time would do talent shows and we'd win them. We're like, oh, sweet, $100 gift card for West Edmonton Mall. West Edmonton Mall. So yeah, like we'd win like little gift cards, and we'd do like little coffee shops. And like my best friend's mother was a vocal coach, so she'd have like Canadian Idolists in her house, like learning, you know, like doing exercises. And so I really just was always around it. And
That's awesome. Because the reason I bring it up is because I feel like there's such a crazy dynamic to kids. And we were talking about this earlier, where your gut feeling is something that we don't often trust as kids because we're just kids. We outseek mentorship and different people that we want to learn from. And things seem unrealistic at times. So we just shy away from really telling people what we want to do with our lives because we don't think it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think like the main thing, like the unrealistic thing, because I have felt like that, but it's like, it's because I don't know what all these steps are to be there. So it's like, I don't know, like it's unrealistic for me to be up where Beyonce is because like you can't even fathom like what it takes to get there. You don't even no idea what it's like until you're kind of just thrown into it. And that was like hockey too. I didn't say, Dad, I want to play hockey. He just put me in it, and I ended up being good at it. So then it became enjoyable, right? And that's kind of like music, same thing. Like I wasn't like looking for the opportunity to travel and to sing for people. Like I wasn't looking for that. It just dropped at my feet 2 months after I quit hockey.
I think it's also because you had like years of actually following your passion of actually singing to have that opportunity. Like if you just magically decided to, now I'm done hockey, now I'm just going to start singing a little bit just to kind of like have something, I think it would have been much different. But the fact that you've been doing it from such a young age to that point, just as you transitioned into that, it just looked a lot more seamless, or felt a lot more seamless in that regard.
Yeah. Do you feel more comfortable in terms of like, because it's something that you've done for so long, like especially when you play higher level hockey, it's something you've done from such a long age. Was it easy for you just to get up and start singing? Like you must have already had some skills and abilities and somewhat been ahead of the curve for somebody who's just getting into singing, right? Did you find that you were more comfortable, or was it just a super steep learning curve right off the bat where you were like, oh, I had no idea music was like this. I didn't know this is what it took. I didn't know this was the process that I had to do.
Yeah, more so the second. Like I had no idea like what it took. So when I met my manager, she was like, I'm going to fly to LA and I'm just going to, we're going to go to the studio and do a photo shoot. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm used to bumming around, like no makeup. Like I was like, okay, it's going to be fun. So I just kind of went with it and was in the studio. We recorded a song in like 3 hours and I was like, this is fun. Like I could do this again. We went to Capitol Records and it was a really cool experience.
Capitol
and then
Records.
Yeah, that was the first studio I ever recorded in.
No kidding.
Crazy, right? And then we did a photo shoot and I'm super awkward. I'm like, what looks good? Like I don't know. Like it is weird because being like, even the way I walk, like I'm not girly because of hockey.
Yeah,
and, like
hockey,
I kind of walk like slouched, like what's up, like like
I'm literally like
hockey players carry themselves differently. Yeah, oh yeah,
like I'm the worst posture. It's like I'm like this, like legs spread, just like big. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh no, for sure.
Never walked into an arena like nice and tall and proud because you got all your gear on and stuff.
Oh, for sure. Like we definitely carry ourselves differently. And as soon as you put your hockey equipment on, you're like,
it's powerful. Like it's a powerful feeling for sure.
Yeah. It is for sure. And so I mean, like some like the hockey stuff definitely does go on and has something to do with the music. It helps bring that confidence and the teamwork too. Like trusting my manager's decisions is a big thing too.
Understanding their intentions, and that's
knowing that I can trust them because you hear all these horror stories. Yeah. And I mean, I've stuck with the same team now for 5 years, so we built up some trust. Yeah. And you kind of know their intentions with me. You kind of learn that along the way. Fortunately for me, I haven't had any crazy experiences with someone like really trying to take advantage of me in any way, shape, or form. Besides like one situation, just a little example. I recorded some stuff in Atlanta and then after I was done, like we were like, okay, like we're gonna pay for it all up front so that it's my music, And at the end they're like, oh, by the way, you owe us $5,000 for all the stuff you just cut.
Wow.
Oh. So it's just like you just never know. You're like, okay, well, my manager flew me out there and she was like, let me know what I owe you, while we're going. Yeah. While we're doing this, and then cool. That's like great. Just to see what he was like. I just want to like see like what I can do with her, and I have a vision for her, and so she's like, okay, cool. Like but then it's just like, okay, so I went there, did these songs, and now what, owe you 5 G's, or I want you as my artist, sign these papers. Yeah, it's just like that's not what we said before I got on the plane. So it's like stuff like that. Like people will shove in a little like, oh, by the way. It's just like, okay.
You're just talking about understanding intentions. I think that's so vital to something that athletes, like with tunnel vision, we always talk about the things that athletes learn through their careers, through their experiences to transition into other parts of their lives. Because, I mean, even professional players, they have, nobody plays till they're 80. You have some sort of transition period out of sport. And I think being coached from a young age, coaches put you in positions where you're going to look silly. You're going to look silly repeatedly, and it's going to test your skills so that you get more comfortable in these situations you've never been in before. I think it's something that athletes have, is to understand how to know what intentions are and how to trust intentions if you see the proper path. So just to link it back to your hockey, I think that's a massive thing that, and like you said, you didn't like the intentions of some coaches that you were with, right? So
exactly,
you
I had
even
to
had trial by
mm-hmm.
fire to be able to understand that from a hockey sense, and then when you use it in a professional sense, it's not like you went through 2 or 3 managers and 2 or 3, you took those lessons and you repurposed them into something better, so that you're already a leg up in terms of your skill set, regardless of what you're doing, just because it is a transferable skill, and it's a skill that doesn't have a shelf life like the competition, like the team atmosphere and stuff like that, right? So
totally.
And when you were, so like, I don't want to call it a persona, but like when you became like Kiera and you have like, did your look change? Ego. Did you, like, is it kind of like an alter ego? But do you think that like being an athlete, being a hockey player has a huge part of the artist that you are now too? Like, is it something that like you carry with who you are, how you dress, how you walk?
Yeah,
how you
totally.
Talk,
like I'm definitely a tomboy at heart, and
I
was a major tomboy on the ice, like, like...
The moment you walked in right now, me and Adam were talking about how you look exactly like an artist.
Oh, really?
Like the whole outfit.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I don't look like that. And you could tell.
God,
yeah.
Like if someone was to ask, like, Wells, who looks like the artist in this room?
And that is why she's here.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because at first, like, it is like an adjustment, right? Because you put on your sweats and your hoodie and your track pants and your school uniform, like whatever you get from the teams, and you kind of don't really have the time to like be like express yourself, like you know what I mean, like we all look the same, like
and that was like a part of it, like I know
you feel unified.
And like Lisa, like at the U of S, we had to look the same. It's scarier. You walk into a gym and you're all built the same, look the same, have the same shoes, same everything, like it's just a uniform look, and so it is a strange thing. Like that was a part of,
I guess the only time you really like show off, I guess, your I don't know, your personality is like the skates you have or the gloves. Like I definitely had like the T-blades and the white gloves at one point.
Oh, of course, I remember like, those. Actually, the T-blades.
It was Janaea Townsend that had them, and like
she was the first one I ever saw.
The first one, and I was like, I like the way they sound.
They do. That was the only thing.
They're so loud. I'm like, I want those. They sound. I just love the noise, so I got them.
My first coach in Toefield, his name is Rink Neufeld. His skates, but they were just super old, made that noise, and then the T-blades came on. I was like, oh my god, like I love that noise, like now I can do it.
And they're like white and like
I never got them because my dad was like, no, you get the normal blades.
I had them for like a season for sure. That's funny. So, NAA, that's when I had them.
Yeah, that's how I remember that. And I remember the white gloves too. Because nobody else had them.
Nope.
Obviously, playing hockey gives you like a different type of work ethic. Your whole, usually as an athlete, your whole day's structured being an athlete. Like you got to figure out when to train, when to eat, when to recover and stretch and do. It's like a full-time job.
Yep.
So obviously having that come to an end and transferring it over to music, how was that adjustment, being able to go from a routine where a lot is demanded from you in the hockey side, and then were you able to do the same thing but put it into music? Like was it easy for you to be able to have like long working days where you're just loving what you're doing? Because it's
for sure, yeah. Even just starting with like just being able to work out by myself. Like I know how to train myself. I train my friends. Like I know how to work out, which is so good to have that skill. Right. Some people don't know what the heck they're doing in the gym. So like I'm definitely thankful for that. And what was the other question?
I was thinking more so like
the skill set
and just
the long hours. Yes,
the work ethic. Just you've gone through 9 to 5 basically with hockey. So for some people, when they're starting something new that haven't played sports, it's a big adjustment because you're like, whoa, this is a lot. This is a big workload. Like I'm not used to doing so much in a day.
Right. Whereas, don't know how to time manage it.
Exactly.
Whereas like you did it already. You were a student athlete.
Yeah.
How does the time management and those skills transfer over to being a singer?
Yeah. So like for instance, when I go to LA, I'm only there for like a week to 2 weeks. So we cram in everything, right? Because when I'm here, it's just different, right? It's crazy. But so my hours in the studio are a full 8 to 10 hours in a studio every day. So I recorded my first album, I think it took a couple months of like a couple different trips, but like it'll be 8 nights in a row from 6 p.m. to like 2 or 4 a.m. And I just like, I didn't even faze me. I was like, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm like, it's such a high because you're cutting your stuff all day, you're perfecting it, then you're doing your ad-libs at the end, and then you hear it all, you're like, woo! You're just like, yeah, let's do another one. Like, it's fun. Some days are different though. Some days just like, oh, like today was harder. Like it took us so long to kind of even have like a skeleton of the song. Like, just depends who I'm working with. I work with different people every time. Well, I mean, I have like my certain like writers that I really love to work with, just to kind of get what I want to talk about out and into song form without it being too cheesy. Because it's like, I want to say this, but I know that you just know how to finesse it into like the coolest way to say it. Yeah. So it just depends, like certain, that's how you also learn and adjust, is you're working with different writers that, okay, like we just don't vibe as well as I do with this person gets me. He gets me, you get me?
Like coaches, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like coaches.
Well, and do you have, and that's teammates, like you have teammates that you don't that you don't really vibe with, but you learn how to work with them, but then you're like, all right, moving forward, probably nothing personal, but it's just not working for me, like the chemistry is just not there, whatever. Exactly. But that's such a crazy skill too, is that you know how to work with them, but you also have the confidence to be like, all right, that's enough. I know that I can do better somewhere else, or I can do better with someone else, and having the confidence to be like, I can work with somebody else that's going to vibe a little bit better with me, but also knowing how to work
quicker process, like,
but not burning the bridge at the same time, right?
Sure.
Like miscommunication, I think, is so huge in life, like just life in general. I was going to say business, and I was like, no, personal.
This is just the way I have to do things. Like, you're amazing, but
and people, and I think people tend to take things personally because of the way things are said or whatever. But if you have the skills and abilities to be like, no, it was great, whatever, but it's time to move on, kind of thing, and like having the skills to do that. I feel like sports is pretty good that way too. And I think I bounced around from so many different teams that it was like you learn to fit in, but you also understand when you're being underappreciated or not utilized.
Underappreciation for sure is a big thing. It's like, I thought I did really good, and here you are being like, sit. I'm putting out a center for you. Hey, Megan Cornelson, play defense. I'm like, Megan's like, what? Put Kiera out. Like, dropping names now, but like, it's just like, excuse me? Yeah. Like, what?
But you also,
I couldn't believe that.
And the the underappreciation.
Still mad
I was going to say, she's clearly over it. Yeah.
There are definitely some stories I think about back in my college career. I'm like, I just try not to talk about it because I still get like fired up about it. I'm like, it's been too long for me to be this fired up over that kind of stuff. But it was also like, now I lost where my train of thought was going, but the knowing when you're being underappreciated, but knowing the line between underappreciation and constructive criticism as well, because that's a really fine line of figuring out, like, some people take things so personally when really it's a coach being like, this will make you better. Right. Like, my intentions are good, this will make you better. And if you're like, wow, they don't get me, I'm underappreciated, like, time to go somewhere else where they get me. And it's like, well, you might feel that way, but it's actually like, it's the truth. Right. And if you want to be a better player, like, you got to start actually listening, not just hearing what they're saying. Like, listen, take things to heart, and then discover what you think is the truth and what you think is valuable, and like take those with you. Because like, not everything everyone tells you, it comes from a good place, comes from good intentions to make you better. Right. But you have to be able to figure out with your gut feeling and all those other great things that you get, decipher what it is, and then use what you need to make you better too. So like, finding that line is also super important, I think.
Yeah, that's like, trusting those intentions like we were talking about before. Yeah, no, 100%.
Something that just kind of popped in my head was like, I've talked to parents before on, why should I put my kids into sports even for so long? Like, I'm putting money into it and all that.
It's definitely not cheap.
It's definitely not cheap, but
hockey
I think
especially, holy.
I think work ethic wise, like, I would always just be demanding of at least 100% in effort, even if like you weren't the greatest athlete, like from kids that I trained. And it was because I remember one kid would always ask me, like, why do you always ask for 100%? I can't always give you that. I was like, that's fine. But eventually I sat with him after, and he said he doesn't like basketball as much as his parents do. I'm like, that's fine. And my goal wasn't entirely to teach him how to like, as much as it was to teach him basketball, it was to also teach him work ethic. And I think what you did a really good job of is taking that work ethic from hockey and put it into like a different passion. Just knowing how to get to 100 is, I think, crucial, because most kids coast through it and go like, oh, I can just half-ass it at 70% or like 50% and get through it. But if you're able to go through 100%, even if the sport isn't for you, you're able to do something like you're doing now and transfer it into something that you actually do love, just because you know what work ethic looks like.
It's funny, my dad used to, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. My dad used to always say that most girls don't know how fast they can run. And like at my time, like when I was growing up, like same time, like the girls I played basketball with, like it was pretty true. Like 75-80% of girls like didn't really know how fast they could run because they were scared of looking silly. And like, I look ridiculous when I run, but I am so fast that it doesn't matter. Like my arms are flailing and like it should be much cleaner than it is, but like I'm really fast, so I never really cared.
You get there.
I get there first. But a part of that, like I did this training for I work at the Young Offender Center now, and I did this training for it, and I was talking to one of the girls in my class, and we were talking about working out because we worked out every morning, and somehow, it's gross, and if this is too much information, I apologize, but we were talking about working so hard that you've puked. And there was one other guy in my training class that I had talked to, and like there might have been someone else too, but the only one that I had actually talked to that has done that, worked so hard that they puked, and it was a hockey player from Mount Royal. So everyone else, I'm like, you gotta find it sometime.
Yeah, at least once.
At least once, because then you know where that limit is, and like, and hopefully you can push that limit farther as you get older and train more and stuff. But like most people don't really know where their limit is, and I feel like if you have the ability to find it and then push through it and then create that ceiling higher and higher and higher, if you never reach that limit, and it's just like a metaphor of puking, but like you know, in life too, like you find your limits, and so many people are afraid to find that limit or afraid to go out on a branch and discover other parts of who they are and the success that they could have and the happiness they could have, because mediocrity is available and comfortable.
Available is definitely it too.
Very available. And so, and people just, and I don't want to say settle, because look, it depends on how you want to live your life.
Yeah, some people just want that.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's, I'm not like that. You're not like that. Obviously, none of us are like that. So but it's a limit that I was like, and I told her, I was like, Hope, you got to find that. You got to puke at least once. Yeah. Like, you got to go for a run. You got to do something and find that limit where, you know, getting sick is, because I think it's valuable, and it's not just valuable in working out. Like, I think it says a lot more about your ability to push yourself.
Mentally,
Yeah.
For sure, like those camps, like hockey camps, like those were brutal. And like, I remember one time we had like a fun day, and I got like second degree sunburn on my back, and I still had like a couple days left of like the camp, so I had to put my hockey equipment on top of it
and sweat into it.
The sweat, so I had to get like second skin put all over my back, and like it was just excruciating because it was rubbing up against my pads and everything. And then at the same time I had bone spurs on my heels, and then I had lace bite on top of my feet, so like my tendons were like inflamed on the top of my feet, bone spurs and sunburn. And I still played the rest of the whole camp, and like that's the thing, is like the excuses, like like I've been through like so much more, like this is nothing type thing, like you know, or one year I collided with a girl going backwards. We did a drill that was like this, and you end up going like that, right? She messed up, and we were both going back to back, smoked into her. That was one of my biggest injuries in hockey, and it was in like a warm up.
I swear, like that's when that stuff happens.
And I folded. So I hit her, folded backwards in half, like my back, and like all the air came out of my lungs. And I was like, it was like a big scream, like, ah! It was because the air got forced out. I was like super hyperextended, but I continued to play the whole rest of that camp too. Like, it's just like,
that's nuts.
Yeah, it definitely toughens you up playing, especially, I mean, hockey, but like any sport, you know, you go through hard times, and then you go on to do something else, and you're like, oh, I can do this. Like, I've been in a way worse situation. Like, bring on the sunburn.
Yeah. Like, I did this with sunburn and lace bite. So, like, no big deal. And I think, like, I hope that hockey gets to a point where playing with boys isn't, like, the better option, which, like, it's hard for me to say that because I understand. Like I played with boys until I wasn't tall until I was older though. So my dad took me out way quicker. But
yeah, I got to make some boys cry.
Yeah, absolutely. Breaking hearts or breaking legs or both.
Probably.
Well, here's the funny. Sorry to cut you off, but I ended up on one of my years. You know when there's another girl on the other team?
Yes.
You don't like that. You headhunt her.
Absolutely.
So I broke
she
her
headhunts
leg
you. So
on the other girl.
So I broke her leg.
By accident.
Well, this took a turn.
Sounds like an accident.
I hunted her
You
down.
know when you don't like
no,
someone?
like
Yeah.
I rubbed her out on the boards, and she ended up breaking her leg. And then 2 years later, she was on my team.
Ooh,
Awkward.
that is weird. Did
No,
you guys
she was
ever
really
talk
cool.
about it or anything?
Honestly, not that I remember. I don't think we did. It was just kind of like, what's up?
Yeah, sorry.
She's limping.
Hope your legs
like,
all right.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Glad to see you're playing again.
Glad you're back on your 2 feet.
My bad.
Oh my gosh.
So I got one thing that I'm wondering. So I always encourage younger athletes to start thinking about not necessarily what they want to do, but what their passion is. What if someone's trying to take the route that you're taking? What is there like any advice that you would give them specifically in terms of stuff that you wish you knew earlier in time on maybe even management and how to seek out different opportunities in terms of like the singing realm?
I guess for me, it's like, don't worry about what other people are doing. And even though you see people around you, up where you want to be, like, it doesn't mean that you won't be there. Like, some people just want to, she's making, I have to make it to her, so it's like, just, you have to be yourself. You can't try and, that's something that I've been adjusting to as well. It's like, I need to come across better, show my personality better, because so many people just think I'm this stuck-up girl, and I'm like, I need to showcase my personality more. So just be yourself, and don't be afraid to be silly and goofy and be your true self, whatever that is. And I guess the thing for me with what kind of like caught on at the start was finding a way to make things unique in my way. So like, I started taking like a rap song or just a popular song and then singing on my guitar, right? So it's like finding something that sets you apart, I guess, in a way.
But that's still authentic to who you are.
Yeah, and it's still authentic to you. Yeah. So like, I guess that, and the important part is you have to know how to find someone to trust to do this with. Like, it's hard you can't do things alone. Like, you need a team, or like a small, whether that's a big team or just a small team. And like, trusting, finding that trust with somebody. I feel like that's important for sure.
Sports is something that there's a ton of delayed gratification in sports, right? We were talking about before, a lot of people don't trust their gut because so many people are worried about getting an immediate return or like a one-to-one return on the efforts that you put in, right? So every time we lift, we don't have more points added to our career highs or anything like that, right? Every time you go for a run, you don't have another win in the win column. All that stuff comes later from all of the things that you do. I work in real estate. It's very, very similar. There's a whole lot of work before, during, and after that transaction takes place, and you see kind of the fruits of your labor, not at a 1-to-1 ratio, but definitely in like it comes, right? It's a climb,
and then it might go back down, but like you gotta adjust. Or it's like working out, like doing abs. You're like, I have abs now. You
burn, so they have to be shown.
Do you feel that way with singing? I mean, with singing, there's so many things. Even like on top of, we talked about eating and lifting and conditioning and rest and studies, all that kind of stuff. You talked about being able to throw your own gear on, and you just have like a hat on or your parka or your team issued gear, whatever it is. You now have to have like a physical persona too to be able to. So now there's like another element of things that you got to take care of, along with your vocal coaches and your fitness and your nutrition and your own sleep schedule, your social life, your endorsements, like all your projects, all that kind of stuff too. How do you balance all of those different things? What sort of focus do you keep so that you can play the long game? Because the long game is undefeated, right? Father Time's undefeated, and those people who give up before they see their things come to fruition are often the ones that they say like, well, what if, or I never got there, or they never truly see the process all the way through. How do you stay so locked into the end goal? Because singing is one of those things that you're always getting judged, right? It's one of those things where it can completely change.
I'm just like really optimistic. So I'm never like, oh, I can't do it. I don't even tell myself that.
Yeah.
So like, well, as soon as I start feeling those ways, like, oh man, like this is scary, or I just keep saying like, it's okay, like I can do it. Like, for instance, I did like an anthem. I did an anthem at an Oilers Canucks game.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and like that, I'm like, oh, this is like, I'm kind of nervous, but I kind of didn't even like, I didn't let myself dwell on the negatives and like, you know, because I could have, then that might have prevented me. Like, I'm scared. Like, so you just kind of just accept it, let it,
just let it be there, but not affect you.
It's one of those things that you were doing it anyways, and if you're gonna do it nervous, you're not gonna perform like you want to. So it's like, okay, I'm doing this, so let's go in with it. You go into it with confidence and like poise, because that's how I'm gonna perform my best. And just like, there's no point in being nervous. Like
like I've always been the type to just like, I know people say it's bad to go with the flow, but then be the flow is what you want to do. But like just, I've always just been kind of thrown into stuff, and it's just kind of a way that I've become who I am. Like, I've just stayed optimistic. Like, okay, we lost, but like next game, there's another game. Like, it's don't just give up. Like, there's failure in everything in life, you know?
There's so much growth in failure.
Exactly,
I think that's what sports teaches you the most as well. Is I actually had this conversation with Sar Safa. I don't know if you guys know him, but he played at the U of A, and he was talking about how athletes are, if you look at the real world, if you don't get 100 or if you're not getting 90s, that's like you're failing. Or like your parents, ideally you want to shoot for that. But in basketball, Stephen Curry shoots 40%, 45%. And he's considered one of the best of all time.
Ever, yeah.
When realistically, that's actually failing.
Right. Technically, but really it's...
Or go play ball.
Exactly.
You know? Like, if you're batting 500...
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's all about failing, going back to the dugout, refocusing, being like, all right, that's all right. It's, you know, short memory. You have to have a short memory. Like that's, and I think that works probably the same sort of way that it works in your singing career is I screwed that up, or I made a mistake, whatever, short memory, on to the next. Like, can't change it now. So all I can do is learn from it and grow from it.
We were talking about nerves a lot before. It's like, nerves are funny because it pushes you away from wanting to get it done. But nerves just mean that it's important to you. If you go, like when I brush my teeth, I don't get excited because it's something I've done so often. I mean, okay.
You're good at it. You nail it every time.
Right? And it's so mundane. It's so normal. And I feel like that sort of mundane feeling, a lot of people kind of take that on as a lifestyle because they just continue to do things that are comfortable all the time. Well, I eat here because it's comfortable. I live here because it's comfortable. This is the work I do because it's comfortable. And as athletes, we're put in, like we said, those uncomfortable situations all the time that you learn to just be like, okay, that little butterfly in my stomach, like that's normal. That just means it's important.
Yes.
Right.
That's such a...
going back to the anthem thing. So it was cool because I stepped onto the ice, and I'm like, I've stepped onto the ice 1,000 times. So I walked out and I was like, yeah, Ryan Smith, what's up? Woo! I was like, okay, I'm out here, but I'm doing something completely different this time. But it was almost like the ice was my stage, like, and it's like, it's been my stage my whole life. So that like literally was like a perfect like representation of like hockey going to singing, like how that was. But like, that was a cool moment, and I'll never forget it because I thought about it. I was like, I've been here before. This is how I'm singing.
That's
crazy.
So cool.
Yeah,
that's
really
actually
cool.
I never really thought.
So as soon as
I
was like nervous, I was walking out. I was like, whew, and I got on. I was like, oh yeah, just took it in for a second, and I was like, woo.
You're home.
See all the boys. What's up? Take me in. I'll strap on my gear after this. No, it's really cool.
There's a moment when I was playing basketball, and it was the first time I ever tried out for, or I guess it was the second tryout, but Team Alberta basketball. So all I'd ever played was Riley basketball, which like 400 people
no one listening to this podcast knows where
unless
Riley
I've told
Alberta
you
is.
Like you probably don't know. And so I was going to I couldn't make the first tryout in Edmonton or something because I had ball or whatever, so I went to Calgary, and I'm sitting in the parking lot with my mom and like in tears because I am so scared. So I'm grade 8. I'm like, nobody knows who I am, going to Calgary, all these girls that I've never met before, coaches that have no idea who I am. And I wanted to go home. And she was like, there is no chance that you are going home. And I remember that moment, like, in so many things now. Because I was like, I was so scared. And it was just, like, not an option. She drove me there. So it definitely wasn't an option. But, like,
same with my dad.
Deeper than that,
Same
it was
thing.
just, like, it wasn't a choice. I was going in there, and because
literally thrown into it.
Yes,
Like,
and
just go.
Yeah, go. And like my mom dropped me off, and I went and I remember walking to the gym. They all had the same bags. I would show up in like my Superman t-shirt because I thought it was awesome, and like and
just standing out. Like
we'll trying to anyways, because like at least they'd be looking at me like whether I suck or not. At least they know who I am.
It was like in the Superman shirt.
Yeah, like what a nerd. But it worked anyways. But yeah, it was such a scary moment. But I went to the tryout, I made the team, and it completely changed the whole path of everything that I've done. And so now I'm like, yeah, you're going to be nervous. There's going to be things that are going to make you super nervous, but there's no point in being nervous while you're doing it. Be nervous before, kind of come to terms with what you're doing. But when you're actually in it, like, be focused, be confident, remember who you are, remember what you've done, and do it to the best of your ability. And you're not going to do it when you're nervous. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was just, that's one of those skills that I'm just like, thank you, Mom. Appreciate it. And it was a super like big learning moment. And I think that's like, obviously sport gave me that too, but that's super cool that you were able to kind of bridge that gap with those nerves on the ice. Like, what a cool story.
Yeah, for sure.
So to kind of wrap this up, album wise, like, I love music, I love singing. It's one of those things that I always, those people that go on YouTube and they're like, can everyone learn how to sing?
You just ask, those people, like, I don't know.
I don't know those people at all, but like, if it was me, I'd do it at like 2 a.m. just wondering, curiosity wise, like, can everyone sing? But I love music, so I actually hear a lot of local artists too, and I've actually heard some of your stuff before too.
Okay.
And I liked it, and I thought I think it's unique because people see such different stages of it, but over the years you've even seen like a different sound even compared to when you first started.
Right. It's always progressing.
But album wise, is there anything coming out pretty soon that we can be excited, or we're going to be excited regardless, but something to kind of look forward to?
Yeah. So what I'm approaching this album or this project a bit differently. I'm putting out a single at a time. And kind of pushing.
I like that.
That's why I have just SideEye out right now, and then I'm gonna put out another one like within the next probably couple weeks, followed by another one, and then eventually I'll have, I believe, a 6-song EP, and then I might do like a part 2. Like, I have so much music that I just can't wait to put out. So I have all of it done. It's just a matter of like which ones we want to put in, and because I really want. All the vibes. Like, it's not just going to be a project that's just all slow or all upbeat. It's like everything. Right. Because I really want, because that's what I like in music. I love an album, for instance, like a Chris Brown or Rihanna album or Beyonce. Like, they always have a little bit of everything. So you have like your turn up, the one you play in the dressing room. Then you have, late night going to bed tracks, and then, just different vibes, different feelings. So I really want to put a little bit of everything into my album.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think people shy away from that because they get told to be in a box of just being so good at one thing. Whereas if you are good at multiple different genres even.
Yeah, it's definitely good to showcase versatility, like in hockey and basketball. Definitely. You want to show that, I can do this, I can do that position, I can do this. So that's kind of what I've been figuring out what I can and can't do or shouldn't do with music, right? So
like rounding yourself out as an artist, kind of.
Exactly. So that's also been really fun to do. So a lot of the time, my producer, he just has like so many beats, and I just go through them and I pick which ones jump out at me. But sometimes, and we just organically like create music. But then sometimes he'll have a song that he cut with someone else, like another artist or writer, like a week before, like, I think this would be cool for Kiera, like, we just see how she sounds on it. So sometimes I'll just be like, like, this sounds dope, like, let me try it out. So some songs I'll only cut it if it makes sense to me in my life as well. Like, cool, I can relate to that, like, I want to sing that. So there's some songs on my project that are like totally not what you'd expect, but that's what makes it fun, because once I did cut like random ones. I was like, this feels good. And everyone's like, like, this does feel good for you. Like, this could be definitely something that you do. So I definitely want to, bring in like my upbeat kind of like trap vibes. And that's kind of what SideEye was, my first single that I put out. It's kind of like a mixture of like that slow R&B soulful stuff with a little bit of that like Bryson Tiller-esque like trap
Yeah.
That snare line, and it's nice.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I'm just kind of, I think the next one I put out is going to be something more upbeat and clubby, kind of like, higher tempo, and then I'm going to slow it right back down for like Valentine's Day. Yeah. So that's it's called Hand in Hand. I'm super excited about that one. So that's my love, is like the soulful, like passionate stuff. Like that's always been my go-to. Awesome. But yeah, like I'm excited to just keep trying new things with the music. That's another thing. Like, don't be afraid to like try different things. At first, I was like, I don't want to do house music or techno or any of that. That was just not my thing, and I don't listen to it. But then you get the Justin Bieber ones, and then like what's her name from Destiny's Child? Not Beyonce, but
Kelly?
Yes, Kelly. She has like When Love Takes Over. Yeah. I was like, okay, like she's dope. Like that sound, I love that. I can do that. So I was so against it at first, but I tried out a song that was kind of similar to like that beat, and it worked. It sounded really cool. So I'm like, I can't wait to start branching out and doing stuff like that. But I think it is important as a new artist to put out a little bit of like, the main focus of the type of music you want to put out.
Like what people are going to remember you by. And
and just to kind of establish, this is what I do.
This is my style kind of thing.
This is my style. But by the way, boom, eventually after that, just like, but I do this. And then straight acoustic songs, and then techno songs, and then
straight acoustic? Are you doing straight?
Oh yeah, I love acoustic.
Oh, I could, because your covers and stuff on YouTube, like we're all like with you, the guitar. So like that's super cool that you're doing that too. I love that.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was like, I really want to, my idea was to put out my album and then put out an acoustic version of it, or even just off like 3 of the songs, like a 3-song acoustic EP of like whichever songs I feel like doing. Because like even listening to certain songs on the radio, there are acoustic versions of it. For instance, there's Coldplay, Rihanna. They have what's it called? China, Girl from China, something like that. And they have the acoustic version. And like that, I don't listen to that one. I only like the acoustic version. So I'm like, I'd love to put out acoustic stuff, because someone who doesn't want to even listen to my music, look at it, will possibly like this one. And like, I like both. So why don't I give everybody both, Yeah. So
and to follow and keep up with all of that, where can they find you?
Yeah, let the people know.
Let the people know the handle.
So I go by Kiarrah, so Kiarrah. That'll be like my YouTube, my SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, all that, Tidal, and then my Instagram is I'm Kiera. I am.
Okay. We'll make sure to put it in there just in case. But this is for the audio only listeners right now.
For sure.
That need to know.
I'm pretty active on Instagram. I'm trying to get into TikTok. Triller. That's like the new wave now.
There you go. Talk to Adam.
Getting into it?
I don't even know what it is. Like I've seen videos, but like
I've tried.
I'm way behind. I know, so behind.
TikTok for real estate is like, man, that is just like, oil and water. Like it's so tough right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but no, that's the new wave.
It's,
yeah.
It's like you kind of got to establish yourself on there now before it gets flooded like Instagram is now. It's crazy. We were just talking about it the other day. Like all the influencers on Instagram, like they are just making so much money, like millionaires, because of your own brand, like you put out your own stuff. You don't have to pay for these ads. Like you're putting out your own thing. Oh, I'm gonna be a makeup artist, and like there's just so many things you can do. And then it gets really flooded. Then it's like hard to stand out. Right. Then it's like, oh, I'm just like trapped. Like it's hard to catch that little break of viralness. And then so now it's like a Triller and all those things. I'm like, I'm trying to like get in there, and like before it blows up and you just blend in with the rest. Like it's
watered down again.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely something. The social media is big, like being big on all your platforms too. So like have a Snapchat, you have to be all in with all the social media.
Full-time gig, just like hockey.
That's the thing. Like I wasn't even all about my phone like that. Now it's like, oh, you have to tweet, you have to do this. It's like making sure like your Facebook fan page and your YouTube and your Instagram, they're all kind of about the same engagement. That's important. That's what some labels look at if you're looking to get signed. But yeah.
I had a question too, and it's a little bit like off, but I wanted to talk about it. So you said that after you were done hockey, you were kind of figuring out what your next move was, and that was something that like we had all talked about, that like once you finish your career, like something that you've been working towards for some, for most, like a very large chunk of your life, and then all of a sudden
18 years, like that's 2/3 of your life now, right? That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's nuts. And you finish the career, nobody talks about what happens after you're done, really. And like for the ones that aren't lucky, that go into, you know, extra schooling or go right into profession or whatever, which like that does happen. Like some people go out of school into teaching or nursing or whatever, and that's great. But for a very large number, school kind of ends. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was done. I spent 5 years in university, got a degree, and I was like,
now what?
Cool. Like,
sweet, what am I going to do with this?
Now I got some letters behind my name, but like, what do I do?
Right.
And it took me into a slump of figuring out what my next move was and finding value and direction. And like, is that kind of something you went through too?
Totally. Yeah. There was a good window where I just didn't really know what I was doing, and sometimes you don't plan for that, and there's nothing you can really do. Like, but I mean, for me, it just, the music came like out of nowhere. Some like the saying, one door closes, another one opens. I just stay positive, and you just never know what can come your way. Like, it's not the end of the world just because you're not doing what you were doing your whole life. There's so many things you can take from that and, you know, bring it into something else that you decide you like, or maybe you don't even know what else you like. It's a matter of just dabbling in things. Maybe you know, like just trying out different things and just seeing what you like. Like, it's just figuring yourself out. Like,
and have the confidence and like faith in yourself to put yourself out
to
there.
start from scratch again.
Yeah. That's so true. It is. It's just like completely starting new. Like, you don't have, you know, 12 to 15 best friends around you all the time that have the same schedule, you know, that was the biggest thing I found. It was just like the team continued, I was done, and it was like, you know, somebody tell me what to do. Like, how do I adjust from being a student and having purpose and direction to life?
You almost feel like unimportant, right? Because it does continue.
Absolutely.
Like the team continues. You're replaced year to year by the next person. You replace somebody when you came in, right? So it's so important to you. It feels like it's everything. And then, like you said, you woke up after that, you know, last game at Nationals.
Sometimes it's the biggest game of your whole career. And then just boom, no longer a basketball player. Like, it is
really weird.
No one talks about it.
Like, like, oh, no, I don't talk about hockey anymore. Like, what? This is weird. Like, what do I talk about? Like, what else makes me special or different? It's not. It's like trying to figure that out. But it's like, it's okay. You're just used to always, I guess, being in the spotlight or like being busy and doing stuff. And it is an adjustment, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like, you won't even realize that whatever you just went through is gonna help you and be a big part of here on out. Like, it's not the end of the world. Don't be mad at your daughter or son. Like, don't be mad at yourself. Like, it's life, and that's what life is. It's like, it's unpredictable. And that's another thing, like the goal setting and all that. It's like, I could set a goal or like an idea of like things I want to achieve, but you just, especially in the music industry, you just never know where it'll take you. Another thing about like, if you want to be famous tomorrow, like, don't even try. Like, it's just like just stop right there. But it's different for everybody. So I've seen people around me, people that I've worked with or was really cool with in the industry and still am, but I've seen their journeys like blossom into like stardom right in front of my eyes. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Her. H-E-R.
Yeah.
So that's like my girl.
No kidding.
That's so when I started first recording in New York, she was recording her stuff and developing herself as an artist, but she was Gabby Wilson first. And so her producers were my producers. So I saw her whole journey, and I've seen her turn and rebrand into Her, which stands for having everything revealed. Which she doesn't show her face and stuff, which is just the coolest thing ever. So I've watched her. Now she's like an icon, and it's just the coolest thing ever, and it's super inspiring. Like, don't feel like the jealousy, none of that exists. Like, you have to use what they're doing and put it into what you're doing, and for me it's just like so much it's inspiration. It's like she's making it. Another boy named Lucky Day that I've worked with, he's massive right now, and Danny Lay, like, she's killing it. Like, everyone around me is just booming. I'm so happy for them. Like, you have to learn to just, it's not all about you.
For sure.
And your time will come. Like, you just got to keep working. And there's like a 4-year rule. Like, after doing something for 4 years, like, you're supposed to blow. But like, there's no time frame. I've seen people go.
Who wrote that rule?
I've heard that people like around like the fourth year, like, you got, you'll start seeing something. Like, I've heard that, but I mean, that's not true. I've seen people blow up like super quick, and I've seen people like work, then finally blow, like whatever blowing means to you, whatever that means to you, like, yeah. Like, I
think that's also why I really wanted to start this up, is because there's so many people that either see that, oh, they did it overnight, or they think that it's overnight.
It looks overnight.
Overnight.
But just so you know, like Ella May, Boot Up, like that was recorded, that was on her old album, like from a long time ago, and then it just finally caught air. Like, and that's the thing too with my old music. Like, it's not, I didn't throw it away. I have switched on. Now I'm Kiera. I used to be Kiki Ireland. I just kind of wanted like a fresh start without throwing it away. But I feel like you never know too. Like, it's not like it's just garbage. You never know if one of those songs catches someone's attention big, that like plays it on their podcast, or who, you know, just you never know where it's gonna fall. So even
like as consumers of music in general, like when you hear someone that you really like, you end up going back to what they sounded like from the very start, and then go through all the
it things. Never dies. Exactly. Like, I still bump old stuff all the time, like always.
And it's cool to watch progressions of like your favorite artists, like so if someone were to catch on to your stuff now and go back and be like, oh wow, like this is really neat, like I like seeing this journey that she went through as an artist, and now like I feel like I'm a part of it. So it's like a different way to connect with someone, and they might go back to your old stuff and connect with that more. Like you never know, right?
Sure,
Everybody interprets it differently, so
exactly.
That's the cool thing about music, is that it's a very like obvious flow of your journey, which is cool.
Yeah. So like relationship stuff, like just life in general. Like if you have been in a relationship, you'll probably like my music, because I talk a lot about relationships. I think that's a lot like what music is about. Really is love and emotion, like
vulnerability.
Feeling let down. Like I have everything, every part of relationship. And that's another thing too. If you're going through stuff with your boyfriend or girlfriend, like you're gonna learn from it, and it helps you figure out what you want in life. You know, like in a person. If you don't go through heartbreak, if you don't experience any of that, then you don't even know what a great guy or a girl is, and you know, until you go through that. So that's one thing too. Like with my music, I have like all the stages. You know some of it, but it's like meeting someone and like being interested in them, and then telling them I want you to be with me, and then it's like now we're perfect, and now we're fighting, and then now I'm sick of you, and now I'm doing my own thing, and now I'm living my best life. Like those are like titles of my songs. So it's like it literally goes full circle, because I've been through it all. You know, like I've been through 2 really, really bad relationships, and it shaped like what I talk about. So it's really cool.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
No, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate hearing, you know, especially being a basketball player, being a business person, things like that, seeing how artists, creatives work, hockey players, everything like that. Yeah, no, absolutely love it.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. To tell my hockey story, because I don't know where else I'd do that. So
that's awesome. I was thinking about that. I was like, it's super cool that we get to show that side of you, because I always thought that was like one of the coolest things. Like someone meet you and listen to your music and stuff, and then be like, yeah, like I was a badass hockey player. Like, oh shit.
Right.
Like, you know, like I just think that's such a cool part of your story that I'm glad that we got to share it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. I'm glad I got to let them know.
On such notice too.
Thank you guys.
Awesome. Sweet.
All done.